Okay, Year 10, this is a brief video on motivation and retention, which is 3.5. I just thought it would be good for you to hear me talk through things in case you're bored of reading the textbook and my PowerPoints and bite size. It's just seeing it in a bit of a different way. So the first thing that you need to do with this new topic is understand the keywords. And the main two that you're going to need are motivation and retention. Motivation is something that you're probably quite aware of at the moment. It's basically how you feel about getting a particular task done, and whether you feel good about it or not. In terms of business, it's about how you as an employer make sure that your workers are encouraged to work to the best of their ability, whatever their job is, whether that's customer service, whether that's production, sales. You need to motivate them to feel good about getting the task done. Retention is about keeping hold of something. So it's about making sure that your workers choose to stay in their job rather than look elsewhere for employment. But next thing we need to look at is, why is this important? Why do businesses care about motivating and retaining their staff? So, number one, high employee performance. You know full well that if you are motivated to do something, you're going to do better at it. It's the same with anything. If you want to do well, you're more likely to do well. So making sure that your employees feel good about their work is going to encourage them to perform better, do better for you. The next is low staff turnover. What I mean by that is you're not losing staff and having to re-recruit them lots and lots. Your staff turnover is low. That's important because recruitment is expensive. It takes a lot of your time going through the process of advertising jobs, seeking out the right people, interviewing. It's timely and it's costly. It's also good to keep hold of your workers if you've already trained them, because obviously training is costly as well. The workers that you have know the business well. They know all the rules, they know all the expectations, they know about the business's culture, so they're valuable to you. And they know each other well. If you've got a workforce that get on well, they're more likely to be motivated, they're more likely to work hard, they're more likely to produce better work for you. And it creates a good reputation. Nobody wants to work for a business with a high staff turnover because you haven't got that job security. The third reason is ease of recruitment. If you have a reputation for keeping your staff motivated and retaining your staff, having a low staff turnover, people are going to be more attracted to your business when it comes to applying for the jobs. So it's going to be easier for you to recruit people. You're going to get more applicants. The fourth point is less need for supervision. If your staff are motivated, they're going to do a better job. We've already established that. Let's draw a little arrow there to link those together. If they're going to perform better, you don't need to supervise them as much. That means that you need fewer managerial staff, and your managerial staff are your most expensive staff. So this saves you money, basically, which means that this saves you money. To motivate and retain your staff means that they need less supervision, costs you less money. 5, low absenteeism. Basically, people aren't going to bunk off their job. If they like it, if they're motivated to it, if they know that they've got all of these good things going on in their workplace, they're not going to bunk off, they're not going to take the mick, they're going to do a good job, and they're going to want to be there as much as they possibly can to prove themselves to you. 6, reduced wastage. This is important in production. When you're producing something, you obviously take in raw materials and you turn them into something else. If your staff aren't performing very well, chances are that turning that stuff into something else is going to involve them wasting a lot of stuff. If you're baking a cake and you put in, if you measure out all the butter and the sugar and whatever, if you've got good staff, they're going to make sure that they use all of the ingredients to the best of their ability. They're not going to throw it around, they're not going to waste stuff. If you've got bad staff who aren't performing well because they're not motivated, they don't care about their job, they're going to throw away the little bit of butter at the end of the tub. They're not going to care. That costs you money. You want to make sure that your wastage is as low as possible because all of that wastage costs you money. 7, better delivery of services. That's in terms of customer service, really. If your staff are motivated, they're going to reflect better, they're going to respond better to customers, they're going to deliver service better, which leads to fewer customer complaints. If you've got demotivated staff, you can usually tell if you walk into a shop and you've got a person behind the till and they're slumped over the till and they don't really want to talk to you and they grumble. You can tell that's because they're not motivated, because they don't care about the workforce they're in. So they're going to complain about that staff member. That then costs you money because chances are you're going to have to go through some sort of disciplinary. You might have to retrain them. If they're really bad, you might need to sack them and recruit somebody else. So this is really, really important. And number 8, which is a summary of all of them really, or as a result of all of them, is increased custom. You're going to make more money. This is really good, but we need to know how you're going to motivate people. It's all right saying, yeah, it's really important to motivate people, but how are you going to do that? And there are 2 ways, well, 2 categories of ways: financial and non-financial. I'm really conscious that you can see me, but I don't think you can. So, financial, put simply, is anything to do with money. And non-financial is anything else. So, let's start with financial methods because they're the ones that most people are interested in. Firstly, pay. And that can come in 2 forms: salary or wages. Salary is where you are paid a certain amount per year, regardless of how much you produce, regardless of how many hours you work, regardless of how many cakes you bake, you are paid that amount of money per year. Wages are where you are paid based on output. So it might be £10 per hour, or it might be piecework and you're paid per amount that you are produced. And you're usually paid that monthly, maybe weekly, whereas salary is an annual salary that is broken down into months. Next up, profit sharing. This is infamously used by John Lewis, and if you're in my class, you know that I bang on about John Lewis. Basically, when the company makes its profit, it divides that profit up and splits it between its workers. That's really good because workers can see a direct correlation between performing well, increasing the profits, and having more money in their pocket. It's direct. They don't see, okay, I've got to work harder to make profits for the big man at the top. I'm working harder to make more profits so that I get a bigger profit share at the end of the year. John Lewis do that by making all of their employees partners, so everybody gets a dividend share out. The issue with profit sharing is that your other shareholders might get annoyed because they're going to get fewer dividends as a result of you sharing out all of your profits with your employees. Then, bonuses. Everybody likes a bonus. It's a cash lump sum at the end of the year. It could be at the end of the financial year. It could be as a result of doing really well in a particular month. A lot of the time, bonuses are target based. So you are told if you produce this much or sell this many things, you get a bonus. It's really important that those targets are realistic Because if you're set a target that is unrealistic, you're not even going to try, because you already think, well, I can't do it, so I'm not going to try. They have to be realistic bonuses, but enough to push you, enough to stretch you to work harder. And lastly, fringe benefits. These are things like additional holiday days if you meet a certain target. It's your pension, it's your private healthcare, it's your free childcare. A lot of people get muddled up and think that these are non-financial because they're not a cash lump sum, they're not an immediate sum of money. However, they save you money and they cost the business money. The big issue with all of these things is that there is a cost to the business. None of these things come free. The business has to pay for them. With non-financial, first things first, praise. A lot of people just do their job because they want to be recognised for it. They like a pat on the back, they like being told well done. That in itself is enough to motivate people. If they're getting that recognition for working hard, they're going to do better, or they're going to do it again. If you work really hard on something, produce something that you think is fantastic, come up with this great new idea, and nobody says, well done, good job, you're not going to bother next time, are you? Next up, award schemes. A lot of people underestimate the value of award schemes. This is simple things like Employee of the Month and having a poster up in the workplace or a little thing in the newsletter to say that this person has done well. It's McDonald's putting stars on their badges. It's things like that, just to give somebody, it's praise, but in a physical form. You're giving them something, not money, but you're giving them something to recognise their achievement. Lastly, the working environment. When you're considering working environment, I want you to think of that in two different ways. Firstly, the physical. What your actual workplace is like. Do you want to sit and work hard in an office that has no windows, is painted brown, has brown furniture, brown desk, everything is brown? There's no fresh air, you don't see anybody else, you sit in that brown office on your own. No, probably not. Google, make sure that their offices are really fun. YouTube, make sure that their offices are really fun and innovative. They're light, they're bright, they've got different desk setups. That's the type of work environment that motivates people. Then, I'm going to call it emotional. The emotional side of the work environment, what I mean by that is what it's like to work with the people around you. Are you part of a team where you're valued? Do you have staff days out? Do you have team social events? Do you have Friday night drinks together? That sort of thing. That motivates people as well. They want to feel part of a working family, I suppose. That makes people feel good about their job. So, that is my key summary of motivation and retention. I hope that helps.